Okay, here's the redneck rack. It's installed, it's painted, and it seems to be good to go. Okay guys, here's the redneck rack for the 4Runner, and this is going to mount on top of the window modular mounts, I guess, or modular panels is what they call them. I'll show you what I mean by those in just a minute. But basically, or if you watch my other video on the install of those, it's kind of the cheaper ones. It's not the most expensive ones. And so I built this rack just to kind of sit on top of that, and then to kind of contain, like emergency blankets or jackets or, real light stuff. This is not going to be heavy stuff that's going to go up here like, the compressor tools or anything like that. But basically this is just expanded metal, and this is steel. This is just what I had laying around. So I had some of this laying around from another project, and I welded along this back edge just to give it some reinforcement. This is 1/8 thick by 1/2 wide, and just welded it along the edge there so that there's more of a lip on the inside, so that the lip is right here, if that makes sense. Okay. And then this side, of course, is going to be what goes to the front, and this is what's going to capture anything from sliding forward, and sliding off is this thing right here, sliding forward into the back seat. Okay. So I'll give you dimensions here on this if you're interested in cutting something out. Maybe you don't want to use expanded metal. I really want to use aluminum, but it is so flippin' expensive right now. It's ridiculous. And so I thought, well, I have this laying around. Let me just try this. Maybe it'll be too heavy. Maybe it won't work, but it feels pretty light. This isn't very heavy. The width of this is 51 inches. Okay, that's 51 1/4. That's what it comes out to. 51 1/4 wide. Now the shelf length I decided on is 18 inches. So basically this is 18 inches from there to there. All right, so 51 by 18. Now I didn't cut this at 18. I cut this another 5.5 inches. So 18 plus, 5.5. So what is that? 19, 20, 21, 22, 23.5 inches. So this whole piece is 23.5 inches wide, or deep, and then 51 1/4 wide. And this seems to fit well up there. All right, now as far as the angles go here, I put this little lip here so that it'll fit kind of real close to the window. It'll also keep small things from spilling out over the edge there. And then it kind of goes up, and then I could have made a nice round edge for the roof line, but I didn't. It would have been easy to do with a piece of cardboard and just kind of mock it up with a piece of cardboard, but I ended up just making this straight up here, and then kind of a straight line here, and then of course it's flat all the way across there. So basically that's 5 inches in that first vertical cut. This piece, and you don't want this taller than this. Make sure you don't make this edge here taller than, this is 1 1/4 inches. Okay, don't make this any taller than that, because otherwise it'll hit the inside of the window. So 1 1/4 inches, 5 inches. This little piece right here is exactly 1.5 inches tall. And then I just drew a line from here to here. This piece is exactly 10 inches in. So I drew a line 10 inches right here. I drew a mark right there, and then just cut this line right across here. Drew a line right there and just cut it right across there, if that makes sense. Okay, good. I was worried this would bow. So, and I started to just cut this across here, cut this at this width, 18 inches, and then weld on this 5.5. But I decided to go ahead and bend it, and that's worked out pretty well. So that'll give the front some rigidity so it won't bow here in the middle. And that's why I welded this piece on the back here so it won't bow. And it bowed when I welded it. So, but it's not gonna bow and sag anymore if there's any kind of weight in the middle of it here, I guess. So it's not perfect. And it's not that this bowed right here, it's that this bowed as I was tack welding it. And that's just one of the things that happens when you weld. I could have welded it slower, taking more time. This is a super, super low setting on the MIG welder, way down there in the volts. So, and you can burn through these really easily, but I think I got them all tacked pretty good. But you can see that it sits there, it kind of bows up a little bit on that side and bows up a lot on that side. So that'll be a little bit noticeable in the 4Runner, but I'm not gonna worry too much about it. All right, I'm gonna get it painted up. Let's get it installed and see what it looks like. Okay, here's the redneck rack. It's installed, it's painted, and it seems to be good to go. I had to make a couple quick mods that I didn't think I'd have to do, but I kind of kept in the back of my mind. And so we just put the 4 existing bolts in. And so we basically sandwiched the expanded metal right here between this lower plate and then the plate on top right here. This plate. And let's see if I can get that in the camera. So that plate back there where the nuts are sticking up. Okay. So that was sandwiched there, and it seemed to be nice and strong, but these end pieces right here kind of rattled up and down, and they would hit right there on top of this piece of the molly panel and on the front there. So I just made these quick little L brackets, and I'll show you the little piece of metal I made these out of so I didn't have to drill holes. Okay, so I just cut little pieces of this angle. You know, if you cut right down the middle trying to save a piece, it's not very thick here. If you cut right down the middle, right? Like if I cut that edge and then cut one right down the middle, it would be very thin right there, across there. So what I did was I made a cut just right on the inside of like a circle right there, and on the inside of that circle, and then made a cut right on the edge of this circle right here and the edge of the circle right here to make a nice wide thick piece. And it seems to be working well. So those are just 1/4 by 20 thread, you know, with lock nuts on the back and washers of course on the back as well. And so that one I made double, and I'm not sure why I did that, but I thought maybe I have to put 4 bolts in just to make sure this is nice and stable up here, but it is nice and strong, so it's holding it in place nicely. All right, good. My wife loves this because it got most of this stuff down here out of her way so that she can put groceries or her fishing gear or whatever back here, and it got most of the stuff up here. We're going to put even more stuff up here, and of course this is just going to be light stuff. So this is what it looks like from the back side. There's plenty of space here, you know, that's 5 inches or so to squeeze stuff in. It looks like, you know, from those measurements, I like the 51 inches. I think that was about perfect. I might have made it a bit wider because I thought maybe these needed to rest on top of that just for weight distribution. But now that I made these brackets, I don't think that was necessary. So 51 inches I'd stick with. I think for this piece right here, instead of welding on a piece of just flat, I would get a 1/2 inch angle. So, you know, 90-degree angle right here, so it'd have some support on the bottom. That may be a little more rigid and may keep it from, you know, bowing. Let's see how this stuff goes up here. So this jacket can go over here. It's kind of a janky roll of paper towels, but it could go there also. And this little emergency blanket can stuff up here. And of course, this is all stuff that's going to be touching the roof. I mean, the ceiling there, so you want it kind of clean, obviously. Throw this net up. That's kind of heavy, actually. And we put it over there where it's be more supported. Now, as far as the rearview mirror goes, you know, I'm about the same height as the rearview mirror right here, and I can see the rearview mirror. So I think you'll be able to see vehicles, you know, relatively close to you. This doesn't hang down too low. I'm kind of liking it already. Okay, and here's the view from the driver's seat, and this is awesome. So my camera, you can see, is kind of right at my eye level here. I'm not a tall guy, I'm 5'8", but you know, my head's only a couple inches, you know, 3 inches from the ceiling or so, and that's the view at the rearview mirror. So if you can see the rack there, but man, you can see basically this is what I want. This is what I wanted. I wanted to be able to see out the back, but still have some storage up high. Okay, and here's what it looks like from the back seat. Now, expanded metal comes in all sizes, thicknesses, real heavy duty stuff that you can walk on to real thin stuff that just kind of makes a little bit of a barrier that lets light, you know, and air pass through. So let's just measure this and see what it looks like. So the length of the hole is about 0.9 inches. The width of the hole is 0.3 inches. And the thickness is 0.65 inches. Now this expanded metal is the flat kind. This is not the kind that's what they call standard, where it kind of has a ripple where these kind of overlap each other. Okay, it's a success. It seems to be working well. She likes it a lot. I mean, look at the floor space there. That's just crazy. You know, you can actually get to the umbrella and get to the snow brush if you needed to. Otherwise, you know, before we had tools and everything just kind of piled here, and you're having to dig around and rifle through stuff all the time to try to find what you needed. And now it's very, very organized. So yeah, you know, the Molly panels, on this side, we've got the her get home bag she can grab, and that's got her get home stuff in if she needs to. There's a shovel there that we can move some dirt with. It's not a big shovel, obviously, but you can actually move dirt with it. It's a steel shovel. This first aid kit came off Amazon. I think it was 40 bucks. It was cheap. And for the price of everything you get inside, it was crazy. It's got an Israeli bandage. It's got a cat tourniquet. It's got scissors. It's got gauze. It's got a bunch of stuff in there. And so that was nice. And Molly's on there. It just unclips and you can just peel it right off the Velcro. There's the tools right there in that tool roll. And so we just have a strap going up from the tool roll handles up to the Molly panels, up to the modular panel there, so it doesn't roll off. The compressor here just kind of sits there. It doesn't really get in the way. You can see there's some water storage back there in the back. Over here on this side, there's still other things we can put here. We've got a couple pouches we want to put in here and add some things, but basically that's just a snow shovel. It does extend, but not good for moving dirt. Obviously you can see we have moved some dirt with it when we've had to shovel, but it's just not great for dirt. But definitely a necessity in Colorado. Toe strap, we just use these NRS straps, and these things lock down like crazy. Those little buckles, those little camming buckles with all the teeth, they will never ever loosen up. We use these on our float tube fins. There's other things. I'm just buying these. They're a little more expensive than the regular straps, but they never loosen up. So that shovel will never rattle. It'll never loosen up halfway down the trail, and you have to go back and fix it. This bag right here, we just have a bunch of our, you know, vehicle resuscitation equipment in, like a multimeter. There's some tire plug. There's a tire plug kit. There's some quick steel. There's some nuts and bolts, safety wire, that kind of stuff. All that's in there. So that's worked well. As far as storage right here goes, these little foam things that we put in here really help to keep this panel on. And so that's still working good. I think I did these over a year ago, and that's working good. I made a little stupid video on that, but if you haven't seen that, watch that. All right, so she used to put a lot of stuff back here, and I don't recommend that anymore. Maybe some rags or something with your jack. But basically, she was stuffing stuff back here, but this is like a bottomless pit down here. When you stuff things down there, there's some holes that things can fall down inside, and I don't know what's down there that we've lost, but I probably need to get out the wired camera and snake it down there and see what's down there. So don't put stuff in there that will fall down there easily, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, so a week later, it's handling everything, it's holding everything, it hasn't loosened up, it hasn't rattled. She said she can see around it with the rearview mirror, so that's nice. It's working well. And, you know, just light stuff, paper towels, maybe a roll of toilet paper would be good up here. If you're going for the backcountry a lot, you have all that stuff already. So the battery jumper lives up there, it's pretty light. And this is one of the biggest things I wanted to do this for, because this drives me crazy. These grocery bags, these recyclable grocery bags that we have, which a lot of stores won't sell you grocery bags anymore. You know, you can't get grocery bags in some stores now, depending on where you're at, and you have to bring your own bags or buy bags. So she just keeps these in here. We used to just keep them in the bottom here, and you'd have to, you know, move them around and get them out of the way if you wanted to throw a bag of chicken feed or whatever you're throwing back here. And now that's all out of the way. So now we just put them all in one bag, kind of stuff them all together, and then stick it up here. And nice, it's out of the way now.